Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Inside Elections. The date is Saturday, February 21st, 2026, and today we're going to be talking about this news coming out of the state of Texas in what specifically is the early vote out of the state of course, Texas. So what we're going to talk about in today's video is how this early vote in Texas is looking very good for the Democratic Party ahead of course, this Senate election in the state of Texas, because this is the early vote for the primary for the Texas House of Representatives and the Texas Senate race coming up in 2026. Now, yes, you're watching this video. It's going to be past February 20th because this data is from February 20th, but I encourage you to go to this website called votehub.com, and whenever you're watching this, to look up what the current early vote total is. I'm not recording this video on February 21st. Actually, it's February 20th my time, but I'm recording this video so that I can upload it on February 21st because I can't tomorrow. But I encourage you to look at votehub.com to look at the early voting total in the state of Texas. I believe it's going to stay currently like this because it's been like this for the past 3 days of early voting. And what this news is, sorry, I need to get to the point, is that Democrats are actually leading in the early vote total in this Texas Senate primary, not Senate primary, yes, Senate primary, but the Texas primary elections for the 2026 midterms. And you're going to see these numbers a lot, that 44% of the 2022 final, 24% of the 2022 final. Yes, that is relevant. It is important to realize that turnout is extremely high because this early vote is from 3 days in. And specifically for the Democrats, they're almost at halfway of the entire early vote total of 2022 after 2 weeks of early vote. But this does not mean that much because in 2022, yes, it was important. Voting is always important. But in 2022 in Texas, there was not a Senate race. It was a midterm, of course, so there wasn't a presidential nominee. The only reason people had to turn out for primaries was for primaries of their congressional districts. So don't pay too much attention to the percentage of the 2022 finale, but pay more attention to what the relative numbers are, which, which includes that Democrats are at 44% of their 2022 finale, but Republicans are only at 24%. And that reflects in the actual numbers. Democrats are leading Republicans in early voting in the state of Texas. And that is huge because, I mean, look at 2024. Roughly 3.2 million ballots were casted in 2024 primaries. Out of those 3.2 million, 2.3 million of those were for Republicans. Almost less than a million were for Democrats. And you know what that turned out into? Let me go to the presidential. It turned out to a Republican plus 14 win in the state, which reflects the early voting totals. But what we are seeing right now is that Democrats are leading Republicans. Democrats are leading Republicans in this early voting total. Not leading relatively, not leading by this relative of a percentage. They are leading in raw votes. And now you might say, okay, well, Texas has a competitive Democratic primary with James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. So yes, that affects Democratic turnout, but that goes two ways. The Texas Republican Party also has an even more competitive Republican primary in between John Cornyn, the current incumbent U.S. Senator from Texas, and Ken Paxton, the Republican Attorney General from Texas, who's primarying John Cornyn from the right. And Wesley Hunt is in there, but he's behind by roughly 20 points, and not he's behind by roughly 10 points in every poll. So this race is mainly between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn. And the reason this is important is because Ken Paxton is an extremely weak candidate. Just about, we can look at John Cornyn versus Jasmine Crockett. John Cornyn wins against Jasmine Crockett in every single poll there is, and that is undoubtedly what would happen in the 2026 midterms if it is John Cornyn versus Jasmine Crockett, which of course is being decided in this early vote. Whereas if it's Ken Paxton versus Jasmine Crockett, there is a chance that Democrats could pull out an upset. Now, yes, with Jasmine Crockett, this chance is very slim. Republicans, no matter who it is, John Cornyn or Ken Paxton, Republicans would most likely win this race. But the point is, Ken Paxton is a very weak candidate, and he would make this race extremely close. However, if it is John Cornyn or Ken Paxton versus James Tallarico, this race will be competitive. This race will be very close in 2026. John Cornyn versus James Tallarico. John Cornyn only up by 1, only up by 3, only up by 6, only up by 3, only up by 6. And these are from polls from September 2025. Oh, the last two were anyway. But Ken Paxton, James Tallarico has a very, very real shot at this victory. The latest polls we have, Ken Paxton is only up by 2. Ken Paxton is tied with James Tallarico, only up by 3, only up by 1. This is a race that will be competitive if it's Ken Paxton versus James Tallarico, which means that both Republicans and Democrats have a very substantial, how do I put this? They have a very substantial reason to turn out in this primary, and that does not go for only Democrats. That is not the reason Democrats are leading. Republicans have just as much of an incentive to turn out in this primary as Democrats do, which is why it is so astounding that Democrats are leading in the early vote total in this state of Texas, of course. And the real margin is most likely even larger because, as you can see in this picture, I know it's kind of hard to see, but some of these counties are gray. That means that votes are not reporting yet. So this real number, yes, this might seem low, 270,000, 250,000, whereas the 2024 primary, 3.2 million. We are only 3 days as of recording this video. When you're watching this, we're going to be much longer in. But as of recording this video, we are only 3 days in, and Democrats are leading, and over 500,000 votes have been cast. And with slow reporting counties, but roughly like 1 in 10 counties are not even reporting votes yet. Okay, I know I'm going off on a tangent. I just kind of wanted to bring this news to you and how Democrats leading in this early vote total could spell disaster for the Republican Party and give Democrats a chance at flipping the state of Texas blue in 2026. And I promise I'll wrap this video up in 2 seconds, but I just kind of want to talk about what it could actually mean if Texas does somehow flip blue, as this early vote data is showing us that could happen ahead of the 20 not ahead of, but in the 2026 midterms. If Texas goes blue, if Texas goes blue and Georgia stays blue, same with North Carolina and Michigan and Maine, Democrats would only have to win one of Texas or Alaska to win Senate majority in 2026. And it is a very real possibility that Democrats win Alaska. Democrats are favored to win in Michigan, Maine, North Carolina, and Georgia. Texas is a very steep uphill climb, but with this raw data, this is, once again, this is not polled, this is not speculation. This is actual raw vote total data that we are looking at, that Democrats are leading in the state of Texas. Now, I've already said this before, but I encourage you to go to votehub.com, see where the current early vote total is at the time you're watching this video. From what it looks like, Democrats are going to stay in the lead, but I don't know what this is going to look at like tomorrow or a week from now. We will see. I just kind of want to bring this news to you, that this, of course, news that Democrats are leading in the Texas primary is a very good sign for the Democratic Party ahead of the 2026 midterms, and could potentially show that Texas has a chance at flipping blue ahead of the 2026 midterms. Okay, I know this was kind of a shorter video. I just kind of want to bring this news to you, let you know, what are your thoughts on this news? Do you think Democrats have a shot? What do you think? If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to like the video, to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I upload news every single day. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.